This program is for business leaders who want to create a unique high-performance culture with agility like Nexflix has. It's a book review, or this program is a book review of Patty McCord's Powerful, Building a Culture of Freedom and Responsibility. Stay to the end for bonus points on selecting the best possible employees for any given position. And my recommended resource, Create Intentional Culture Through Psychological Safety. I really enjoyed this book. It was actually recommended to me by Bob Sutton, a co-author of Scaling Up Excellence. So McCord, the author of this book, was the chief talent officer at Nexflix during the cultural changes that made it so successful. It's short, sweet, and gets to the point. Radical honesty, freedom, and responsibility lead to exceptional performance and results. 3 key elements that motivate creative and knowledge workers are mastery, autonomy, and purpose, as identified in Daniel Pink's excellent book, Drive. So it turns out that when you treat your team like honest, motivated, competent adults, they act like them. If they don't, you give them a generous severance package and fire them immediately. You don't have to do this harshly, but it's like, look, it's not working out. Here's a generous severance package. I'm happy to have you be on your way. I'll even help you find another job with my recommendation, and so on. Pretty cool, actually, the way they talk about it. And the author of this book would have been the person doing that. She was the HR head for all of this. Here's the way I put it. Talk about a crystal clear example of intentional culture setting. You're expected to be exceptional. You were hired because you're exceptional, and you will be treated as exceptional, honest, autonomous, and all those things, but you're also have the responsibility of living up to that expectation. This book is McCord's perspective on the same events described in Reed Hastings, former CEO of Nexflix, and Aaron Meyer, an expert on culture, whom he hired to help him write the book. The book was No Rules Rules. I have a book review on it in the description notes, so you can access that too. What I liked most about McCord's approach was how she approached HR, radical honesty and willingness to manage toward and from results. And what I mean by that is they identified the results they wanted, designed the policies around getting those results, then adjusted based on those results. That it was very empirical. Let's do this with the intention of going here. Assess the results over time, and if we need to, we will adjust the policies to get better results than we've got thus far. That is, take the feedback, empirical, scientific kind of thing, and use that. And the result was Nexflix as it currently stands. Highlights for me were focused actually mostly in chapter 3, whose partial title at least is Humans Hate Being Lied to and Spun. Got to agree. So to me, and this is me being radically honest, dishonesty has always been a stupid and dysfunctional way to get things done or build trust. Here are some of the gems paraphrased from her book. Model honesty and people will pick up the habit. When leaders are willing to be wrong and declare it publicly, it's an exceptional version of leading by example. Companies that actively foster honest feedback from below have shown a 270% higher return compared with those that don't over a 10-year period. This is a specific study that she cites in this book. And from chapter 6, some really smart people in every job. And this was the quote here, or the paraphrase: more important than the match of a person's prior experience is their approach to problem solving. Keep that in mind. I'll be talking about that later. And in chapter 8, the art of good goodbyes. We should all be proactively preparing for the road ahead. Managers don't do their best for their people by sugarcoating difficult truths. Thank you for staying with me this far. We've reached the bonus material, or bonus points, for selecting the best possible employee. If you want your team to be the best, test them as part of the hiring process. Make them solve problems, or at least have them describe how they would solve problems that are specific to the jobs, specific to the skills they need. What this really comes down to is create relevant problems by asking what real-world problems have past employees in this position had to solve. Now, if it's a completely new position, you can't do that. So ask instead, what problems are these candidates likely to need to solve while doing this job? Prioritize the specific problems they'll most likely need to solve frequently likely to do their job well. Most jobs have a repetitive, not all, but most jobs have a repetitive sequence of things that a great employee in that job would need to do. So you can focus these problem-solving hypotheticals or real problems that they have to basically outline the steps that they would use to indicate that they have the foundational skills to do the job. So if they're unwilling or unable to solve these problems, pretty simple, you hire someone else because they're not the right candidate. If none of the candidates can do it, you kind of have two solutions here. You can either be ready and prepared to train them, or don't hire anyone until you find candidates who can solve those problems. An alternative is to hire one or more of those candidates who seem to be the best fit based on the problems that they solved, or at least did their best to solve, and seem to have the most capability, and hire them on a 1 to 3 month trial period, which could be extended if necessary. But the idea is, if you've decided to hire someone you're not certain can do the job, hire them short term with the understanding it's only short term and there's no promise for continued employment because it's contingent on their ability to do the job at that level and at the beginning. Out of those short-term trial employees, pick the best one or ones, or restart the entire process if none meet the criteria. Or, of course, really you could extend that period. As now, let me get back to radical honesty. You're getting screwed by a lack of radical honesty in your own company. Unless you're a company that practices the kind of radical honesty that McCord talks about in this book, and most don't, then you're not getting that from anybody. So one place you can get this kind of honesty and much more is a top quality mastermind like mine. So click the link in the description to join my $397 per month mastermind group, free for 3 months from the first time you visit. From then on, the price goes up continuously till it reaches full price. Check that out. I plan to deliver. And if I don't, of course, you wouldn't want to stay. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. Also, click here or in the description to access my recommended resource for creating intentional culture through psychological safety. This has been Crush It Club 303, Powerful, Building a Culture of Freedom and Responsibility book review. My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.